Welcome back to another video, guys. And as I expected, as we get closer to the release of Starfield, more and more stupidity is going to be coming out. And today was absolutely no different. Multiple things here, from this, probably one of the dumbest takes I think I've ever seen, to reviewers complaining about not getting review codes, all of this type of stuff. But let's start with this. We had this tweet go out and it got huge. And it got huge, obviously, because it was just such a stupid take. It's clearly from a PlayStation fanboy that will come up with anything whatsoever to try and make something bad out of an Xbox release. And we have the tweet here, and it's from King Thrash. Now, I don't really follow too much any of these crazy console warrior dudes, but this one I have to comment on because it's hilarious. And they even wrote an entire article about this from Esports, saying Starfield hater becomes a laughing stock after basic astronomy blunders. As the discourse around Starfield has been something to behold over the past few weeks and months, with many jumping to criticize the game before its release. And that really sums up everything that has been happening from the anti-Starfield side of things. It's just been nonstop with trying to make the game look bad, trying to downplay the fact that this may be a generational great RPG that is an Xbox first party title, all of this type of stuff, just because it is an Xbox first party title. And the arguments that people are trying to come up with here, from the boundaries to this take here to barren planets, when the reality is they already told us that 10% are going to be populated and the rest are going to be barren, and all of these crazy things that people are trying to throw out here just to make this game look bad. And it all culminates here with probably the worst take out of them all, from the S-Class gamer, King Thrash, saying you cannot go to these planets before exploration because exploration was a lie. Jesus, it gets so worse. And he's talking about these huge gas giants. You can go here into the comments and people are roasting him. There's a reason why you can't explore gas giants. I mean, we all know the reason behind that, but apparently King Thrash does not know the reason. You have General MLD here said, this is taught in elementary school. Landing on a gas giant is a no-no. This person says, those are gas giants, though, nowhere to walk on. And the response is, why not? It's a video game with alien creatures and jetpack and spaceships shaped like robots. Why is the line drawn on gas giants? I don't even know how to respond to such stupidity here, and just trying to make this game look bad. Like, the biggest reach you could ever have is saying that they've lied about exploration because you can't land on a gas giant. Just insane stuff here that is trying to go on to make the game look bad, and continues to try to defend this take, which makes absolutely no sense. This person posts this picture here saying the gas giants are made primarily from hydrogen, helium, and methane gas at their surface. They do not have a solid surface, and thus no one can walk or land a spacecraft on its surface. So, I mean, we don't need to go over this further. It's an absurd take. It is one of the greatest reaches to try to make a game look bad before it's even out, before it's even in the general consumer, the general gamer's hands. Such a ridiculous take to try to make. Now, the other thing that is going on when it comes to Starfield is we are now discovered that Starfield was very selective, or Bethesda and Xbox, they were selective on who got the review codes. There are many big outlets that didn't get a review code. One of those big outlets was Eurogamer, up until yesterday, when they finally did get a review code and published the fact that this update here, saying about an hour after the publication of this blog, Eurogamer has provided Starfield review codes by Bethesda. As stated below, our review will not be completed before the embargo, but we can now begin our work to provide you with Eurogamer's judgment of the game. And apparently they didn't give a review code to Eurogamer. They haven't been giving a review code to multiple former Kotaku employees. You have Steven Totillo here, who didn't get a review code. He works at Axios now, but was formerly of Kotaku. We also have, I just pull up my bookmarks here, I have them in the daily news. We have this one from Keza McDonald saying the Guardian has also not received review code for Starfield. I have no idea why, but given that I was an editor at Kotaku for years and Bethesda famously were not fans of ours, I can make an educated guess. And here again, Tom Phillips, again from Eurogamer, saying, "I'm so sorry, won't be able to review the Starfield on Eurogamer this week. We were still waiting for the copy on like many other sites, and then obviously then they did get it. And then there was this entire thing here where apparently they say, lastly, a note on Digital Foundry: you should expect to see relatively prompt coverage of the game by Rich and his team after a separate delivery of Starfield code was provided to them. However, this was provided alongside instructions to me by Bethesda that no other parts of Eurogamer were granted access. This was an unprecedented request, but one I ultimately felt compelled to honor to ensure the access granted for Digital Foundry was not subsequently impacted by any other mandate." So apparently they gave a review code to Eurogamer. However, it's only going to be allowed to be utilized and reviewed by Digital Foundry. And Steve Titilo writes this: "It's one thing for Bethesda to block copies of Starfield from outlets like Eurogamer, Axios, and others. It's another to, as described here, give a code to Eurogamer that they specifically say only Eurogamer's partner Digital Foundry can use." So obviously there are questions being had here by these journalists as to why review codes were sent out to some major outlets and not others. Now, from what I understand, Bethesda sent out review codes to big ones, big outlets like IGN and stuff. I'm guessing IGN got it because we haven't seen them complaining about it on X. And also to many influencers, big influencers, Xbox influencers. You can tell because they all tweeted out that they did get the review code and they've been playing it. But they decided not to give it to certain publications, a lot of the Read Pop publications. And you have to ask yourself why. You come to a couple of conclusions about this, or at least I'm going to come to some conclusions, and just my assumptions. My take on it is basically the one major thing I think that they're avoiding former Kotaku employees, Repop, and all that type of stuff is because if you remember this, back in 2013, they did leak documents revealing the Fallout 4 was real. And that obviously doesn't go over well with Bethesda, who tries their best to keep everything close to their chest, not reveal anything about their games until they are ready, so that the games can have a nice announcement. They can show off all the amazing stuff that they have been working on. And Kotaku came out here. Jason Schreier, actually, back in 2013, when he was at that website, revealed this and put out this leak. And I personally don't think that it's wrong for a website, for a journalist to report on a major leak that they have. I mean, that's part of the job. However, if you do that, the publication allows it to be published, there potentially will be consequences in the future from publishers who don't want to deal with potentially leaks coming up before the game is out. Maybe they feel like they can't trust them anymore. Maybe that's a consequence as to why Kotaku and former Kotaku employees aren't getting it. The other thing is with Kotaku, it's just a bad website. Let's just be honest here. It's not a good gaming website. The coverage for games isn't good. The articles they put out half the time have nothing to do with video games. It's just some political garbage stuff that they always put out. It is just a terrible website. So it's kind of hilarious to me that Kotaku is getting snubbed here, or at least looks like they're getting snubbed, and their former employees are getting snubbed. I couldn't care less because it's just a bad website. So all of that to be said, when it comes down to it, these review codes, a lot of people, they give the sense of entitlement that they should just get a review code because they're a journalist for these websites. And that's just not how it is. I mean, it's a privilege to get these review codes, and Bethesda has every right to choose who they send them out to. I mean, I would have loved to get one. I obviously didn't get one, but I don't think that's a bad thing. It's just I'm not big enough for them to send me a review code, of course. So all of that type of stuff plays into this, but there is a lot of chatter now about the review codes and people saying maybe it's because they aren't confident in the game, which is probably the furthest thing away from the truth. But that is going on, review codes and major websites. Now, in terms of building your character, apparently now you can actually get ahead of it. I know for me, building my character in Starfield is going to be a game that I take some of the most time out of any game I've ever played to make sure I have the exact character I want with the exact traits, all of that type of stuff, because it's a Bethesda RPG. It's you. Your character doesn't have a voice. It's all in how you create your character and the type of gameplay style that you want to go about. So I'm going to probably spend the first couple of hours just reading through everything and building out the perfect character for my adventure before I jump into any of the gameplay. And if you don't want to spend the first couple of hours doing that when the game launches, you want to jump right in, you want to get through the character creation as fast as possible so you can actually start playing, there is this option here where you can build your character now in advance. It says here that In Starfield, players select a backstory for their characters, then they arrange points into a series of categories that range from physical to social and from combat to tech. And then finally, they select 3 key traits. It's admittedly going to take the average player around 15 hours to simply craft their character, which is insane. If Bethesda's RPGs are anything to go by, so getting the upper hand now isn't a bad idea. And to be able to get the upper hand, there is a website that has been built. It's the same platform that also hosts character builder planners for both Cyberpunk 2077 and Fallout 76 and Skyrim and the Outer Worlds, among other games. And that website here is Nukes and Dragons Character Build Planner and Calculator. So you click on it, you go to it, and you're going to be able to start building out your Starfield character. So if you want to get ahead of this when the game launches so you can jump right in, this is a great idea. And I think I will probably take a look at this sometime if I have time between now and when the game actually does release. All right, let's jump over here and talk about something a little bit different. And this has to do with a Sony executive that has now joined Xbox to lead the Japanese partnership operations. This here was found on a LinkedIn post from Mina Sato Kato. I don't know if I said that properly, but she posted this about a day ago saying, excited to say I've joined Microsoft as Director for Partnerships Japan at Xbox. I will be leading partnership efforts to support our Japanese partners globally, opening up a new chapter, unlocking new experiences in the game industry. I hope to see many of you at TGS. And this is a very experienced person in the Japanese market, a Japanese executive. Now, she's a very experienced person. You can see here how long she was at Sony. First of all, she was at Sony for 8 years previously as the vice president for the mobile business and Japan studio. And I think that is very, very telling because as we know, Xbox is really trying to expand out their mobile business, which is one of the main reasons or the main reason why they are purchasing Activision Blizzard. So having all that experience right there from her bringing that over to Xbox will be huge. Also, previous to that, for Sony Computer Entertainment, the Senior Director of Business Development, the Director of the PSS unit, so the head of the PlayStation Phone Initiative, again, the mobile side of things. And then we move down here, again, previous to that, still from Sony, she was there starting in 2001, or I should say 1999 as the researcher in the Research and Development Department, but also after that, part of the entertainment business department and the broadband business part. So very, very experienced. Previously at Sony will bring over a ton of knowledge and help Xbox grow out in the Japanese market. They're doing a ton of stuff here and they're going to have to make sure that they handle all of these relationships well, because you think about all the stuff that we've heard recently coming out of Japan to Xbox, the Atlas games, the Persona games. They have Tango Gameworks, which is their main studio there now. They're probably going to be looking to purchase more studios in Japan, I would assume, or have more partnerships with other games coming from Japan over to the Xbox ecosystem. So pretty cool hire there of Mina Sato Kato. And then finally, I do want to mention this because I'm pretty excited to see what the next Nintendo console is going to be. I do like my Nintendo Switch. And this is a tweet here from Jez saying he heard rumors recently that Nintendo showed off the new Switch behind closed doors to select press at Gamescom. Full reveal and leaks may be relatively imminent, which makes you think maybe they're going to be showing off the next Nintendo Switch at the Tokyo Game Show, with the release coming sometime in early 2024. And I think it's going to be super, super interesting to see what they do in terms of the power, the hardware, how close is it to the current generation right now of the Xbox Series XS and the PlayStation 5. I'm feeling it's going to be closer to the Xbox Series S more than anything. And also, are they going to have backwards compatibility? Something that people aren't sure on. I think would be crazy if they don't have backwards compatibility. What will the price be on it? All of that type of stuff. And as we know, the handheld gaming market has exploded since the Nintendo Switch. It was big back in the day, had a little bit of a lull, then it exploded again. And we're seeing tons of these handheld gaming PCs. Will that have an effect on the next upcoming Switch, on Switch 2 or whatever? People will be looking at what they put out and then the other PC handhelds that are coming out and maybe move more towards that. Again, pricing and all that stuff will be very determinative of what people do. But interesting stuff here. I will leave the video there. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.